a good crowd this morning to talk about housing, which is a hot topic in Los Alamos right now. Patrick Sullivan and I were just at a meeting with the county yesterday afternoon talking about housing. And one of the things they updated us on was that they have done a study about housing needs in Los Alamos over the next decade. And the study turned out that we could develop another 2,600 units in order to meet the demand for housing in the community. Which I know to many of you who are involved day to day in housing doesn't feel so good right now because it means that there is a huge demand. And to many of us, including the laboratory, who are trying to recruit a workforce here, and also in the hospital, I've heard that from them as well, it makes it difficult to recruit people in when there's a shortage of housing. The good news is it's a great problem for any community to have in terms of economic development. Los Alamos is a beautiful community and people want to move here and live here. And we're seeing retirees from the lab who had the trend in the past to retire from the lab and then move away from Los Alamos, stay here because they love it as a community and they're invested in it. And we also see young families who are now coming to the lab to take the places of those retirees who also choose to live in Los Alamos, which is a great problem to have. So now we just need to develop. So we have an expert here today in the Los Alamos real estate market. That's what real estate agents are, right? They're at the ground level and see every day what the demand is and what the transactions look like. So I have some important things to say about phase two. She is an expert because she's a member of the RE/MAX Hall of Fame. She has been a long time realtor in this community. And most importantly, she's the reason why Nancy no longer lives in her mother's basement.
Thank you. Thanks. So yes, I'm the top most awesome realtor west of the Mississippi. No, I just put that in there because it was fun. But she's right. We are in a housing crunch in crisis right now. We only have about less than 33 homes on the market right now, and that includes pendings. So I was hoping Joni Ehlers might come from economic development because we are trying to develop two areas. One right behind the hospital, and that's going to be hopefully 11.5 acres, and it's getting ready to go out for an RFP. So we're going to get somebody in there and developing it. We're about 2 years behind on homes. Right now we have a 2-month absorption rate. That means to fill all the houses in Los Alamos, we only have 2 months worth for new people coming in. So it is a big deal right now. Right now, you can see in April, we've sold 27 homes in April. That's matching right up with last year. And then you can see through the summer how last year at this time we went up to 40 home sales a month, 35, 28. So we're right back where the trend is last year this time. In January of last year is when we saw the change, the new hires coming and the crunch starting. So housing prices have gone up. It is a seller's market. The problem with that is, we're low on rentals. So we have families coming in and they want to rent for a little while. And so now that the prices are up with, homes selling, investors are selling their properties, and then it's getting the people that want to rent for a short time or even are on 2-year contracts that just do not want to buy, then it makes the housing market even tighter. So the problem, what you were talking about, is we do have people that are not taking jobs here, and we do have hospital workers. I had a doctor come in and see me. He did not take the position because he could not find a house. And so we, as a community, we really need to put pressure on the county to open up some land and get the land developed. Because we do have a great community, and we want the young families to come, and we want, to develop. We have a lot of aging population that aren't selling their houses because their houses are paid off, and so they can go travel and then come back here, and we have a safe community. So it used to be that the retirees would sell their house and go live by their kids or something, but now they're staying. And that's caused a big problem. So, back when I got into real estate in 2000 here, you used to not have to clean your house. I mean, you would just go in there and it'd be a mess and it'd sell for, that's what's happening again. So, although we still have to require a clean house to sell your house. But so this talking about homes are selling really fast. They really are. You can see, here's our absorption rate. So this is the month supply of homes. Right now, April 2017, we have a little bit over a month's supply. That means if we sold everything, we would have no houses left for people to buy or live. And so with sellers selling their rentals, then that means the summer students that are coming in, we have hardly any homes for them to stay. And people are renting out rooms, in their houses. And so it's a big deal. It really is a big deal on that. Home price ranges, we still, prices are increasing. What we do have is multiple bid situations. We had a home last month that had 13 offers on one property, 13. So it makes it very difficult, and it's discouraging to young families that can't compete because, they're young staffers, that just got hired, got on staff, and they're income limited, and so it's really hard to compete. So one of the things that Joni and I have talked about is on getting some of the home development to be in that price range, right? In the mid-2s to the mid-3s, maybe 4, but that's a comfortable price point for new hires coming in. And so although the higher end homes are nice to have, we do need some mid-range home prices so that we can get some young families in here. We do want to attract young families. We have a safe community. We have the top schools in New Mexico. And so, we want our community to continue to grow. We've got the rec bond coming in for vote. I don't know if you're for or against it, but if we want to compete with the neat towns of Colorado and all these other small ski towns that provide so much recreation for the young kids, I would encourage that bond to pass. This is talking about the median average home price sales. So we have the median price sale in April of $262,500. So average is right around mid-2s, just like I talked about. And then what's happening is we're having multiple offer situations, and they're going up above maybe $30,000 to $40,000. And as is, no appraisals. So it's a big deal. Do you guys have any questions?
What's the difference between median and average?
So the median height, this is what, once it's priced, we price it. And that's the median sales if we don't have a multiple offer situation where it pulls the price up. And then you can see how they've come up here. And it does, the seasonal variations, it depends. Last year in January is usually really slow. We have not slowed down since January of 2016. And I'm tired, but it's good.
I have a growing company. We figured out how brains work. A whole lot of people are interested. We got to add 100 people. There's no place to put them.
That's
so
right.
We're looking at what other communities can we grow in because we can't grow here.
Right. For your company or for homes?
We're going to move the company because we don't have a choice.
So see, we don't want that to happen because we really want you here.
Well, then I need homes for the people I have.
Right.
And
Can you
not
hold
5
off a
years
little
from
while?
now.
We really are trying to develop. We really are. We got, when the housing, market of 2008, 2009, when it really slowed down, then we quit developing, and that was, we got behind. The development in White Rock, it's kind of by the new fire station. That was sold. It was planned to develop. The ground was very hard, much harder than they had planned to get the utilities in. So now there's much more, there's less units going in there. It's all tied up in that. So, we got to plan better But we are trying. There is another area that we're planning to develop, and that is, you know where DP Road is? So not the industrial part, but behind Smith's, if you go past Smith's, there's a little road, and there's a big long finger out there. And they are talking about developing there too. And that's real nice. The views are nice. There is another area on North Mesa, not by Broadview, but kind of behind the stables. There's lots of land out there. So there are options.
I've heard trying many times, and in this county, it means we might get to something a decade from now.
Right.
It doesn't count.
Right. No, I agree with you. And we're working on that. Joni Ehlers has done a great job in really pushing. We really are just about to put the RFP out. So it's getting close.
So I can give a little update on the office. So I don't work for the county, but
Yeah, come on up.
But I've been very involved with Joni on the housing. So the 11.2 acres of land that sits with the old DOE site office site behind the hospital, that RFP's actually gone out, went out late March, early April. Bids were due May 5th. There were proposals received by the county on that parcel. I believe their time frame in terms of selecting a developer, going through a development agreement and agreeing to a development agreement, and then going through council. The way land has to be disposed of in our county is through an ordinance that's passed by the county council. And I believe their time frame from now to getting that completed is in the 60 to 90 day range. So they are moving on that. That will probably, I'm going to assume and guess that development will be a high density type of development. Of the 11 acres, about 9.2 I think is actually buildable and developable. The land that you mentioned behind Smith's, which is called A8, there's a 8-acre section that's kind of a square rectangular shape that sits directly behind the new Smith's, that's clean to residential standards. It also makes, in my mind, makes sense for high density development there, right behind Smith's and adjacent, a few blocks from kind of the core of our downtown. The county again I assume will RFP that as well. My understanding is that RFP is already in development and in the works, and so as soon as the A8, which was the DOE site, is done and completed, the next one's going to come on. And so there's this cascade of land that's being put on the market by the county. The one in White Rock, yeah, that was very tough. There's basalt, a lot of basalt. So to put in utilities there is not as simple as just digging. I think it might require some blasting to be done to clear that out, so that has delayed that. So anyway, just thought I would add.
No, I appreciate it.
How long from now, not to passing ordinances, we're real good at that, but how long to actual houses or apartments that people can live in?
Every developer has their kind of set way of doing things, but I would imagine, from when they're able to break ground until they get certificates of occupancy to allow people to move in, you're probably looking, if ground gets broken this summer, I don't know how fast they can get enclosed structures to work on the interior over the winter So I'm going to guess 9 to 12 months probably. From then, depending on the number of units and the type of units and what all they are.
When they, the county will, I think they're conscientious of how quickly we need to move on it. So probably, and I'm assuming in their RFP and the people that they choose and the companies that they choose, they're experts coming in doing it. They will be able to be proactive and get the work done quickly. They understand our crisis.
Right. We've had significant interest from housing developers over the past 6 months. It went from us, myself and then Joni, cold calling developers to actually then us getting cold called by developers in the state.
Right.
Wanting to come up and understand what the property is like here and what the opportunities are. So there's definitely interest.
Did you have a question?
I was just going to make a comment. My name is Marcus Hall. I'm a general contractor. We're going to be building places here in town. We're going to have them developed, probably about 6 or 7 houses by November.
What year?
This year. we are, yeah. So, yeah, we do have, there's forward motion going on housing, not with the county. We do have offers in with land on the county. This is through private party, we purchase land through private party. So I've heard of other developers doing the same thing. So
There-
That's what I needed to know.
Yeah, there are some starting to develop some specs. All right. Of course, we're talking about, this is really a point to sellers that, our pricing right now is very schizophrenic, we have a house that may go 13 offers and way above, and then we have some that were priced too high, obviously, and that are still sitting. That's probably 10 or 15 of the 30 homes we have on the market right now. So, pricing your house, of course, if you guys are in the market and you want to sell your house, is still very important. And it's very tricky right now in this market. But you can see how quickly things are selling. If they're priced right, they're getting 98 to 100% of ask price or over if they're priced correctly within the first 2 months. This is from offer to closing. And Scott Robinson, he's a lender with Gateway Mortgage, and if you need a great loan, he is awesome, and he can get the job done for buyers. He's really good. You've been in it 25 years, so he's a great lender. Here's the Los Alamos sales price ratios. This is talking about, you can see on this graph, in May of 2015, we were getting from original price to actual sales price about 94%. Of asking price. You can see how much we've gone up, over 102% in actual price from original price, and that's when you're seeing the multiple offer situation driving the prices up. So it's really, it's really up.
Is that pricing a bubble?
I don't feel like we're in a bubble right now. We're still not, 2006, 2007 was the height of the market. We're not there. We're up, our prices are up about 12%, 12 to 13% from 2010, 2011. So we're not up, we're not to near prices. So a lot of sellers think, we can sell our home that are underwater, that bought at the very height of the market. We are not there. And I don't know that we'll get there, but I don't feel like we're in a bubble. We're just in a housing crisis. So the demand is driving the prices up. And that's it for my slides. But, I do believe in this community, and I want you to keep your company here, and, we do.
It has to make sense.
Yeah. We are moving some new home buyers into Santa Fe, and they are moving into Santa Fe, into the northern part, because they can commute and they can still hopefully get their kids in the schools here. But, some people enjoy, living in Santa Fe and making the commute. So that is also a possibility here. But, we live in a very safe community, and so I think once we can get the housing market, and more homes built, it's a great community. We just, we have to be patient right now.
You couple into that, the U.S. Senate really hates this place.
Not politically. I've been here a long time. There's a lot of people that are probably born and raised here, That's just the way Los Alamos is. So, I don't think it has anything to do with political. We have 30% of the workforce is going to retire in the next 5 years. So we're bringing in new hires. And the lab is getting creative. They were, offering, they're trying to offer different packages for the young people coming in to get them to stay, because the millennials, they're used to now, they come in and stay in a position for a couple years and then they move on. That's just the way they've,
There's always the black hole.
Yeah, that is for sale. And I have talked to the owner.
Piece of property.
It's a great piece of property, and I have talked to her, and she is willing to develop that. So,
We already talked to her, the
you-
offer on it, and they went up 350,000 on the offer.
right.
So it's,
Yeah, we could talk about that. But anything else?
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the rental market. Plateau Properties,
Right.
what have you got?
Nothing.
Literally.
We've been right at 100% occupied for close to 12 months.
And waiting lists, right?
We have about 20 plus on the waiting list right now. We probably turned away 150 interns.
Wow.
You still get calls every day.
Yeah, every day. And the website, we do about 30 website submissions a week, and most of them are short-term, some are.
You know-
Just can't do it.
And the one thing is, if you guys do have rooms, I mean, it seems kind of weird, but for 3 months, if you can open up your rooms to these students, you know, a lot of people are doing that, but we don't want to turn them away. We want them to come. So,
Jessica Chipro from Acton Financial in Rancho.
Oh, yeah.
I'm here because I work with some of the mortgage brokers in Albuquerque on a program for people who have high student loan debt to maybe get them qualified for houses. And one of the trends I've noticed is that people who have graduate degrees have like $250,000 to $300,000 of student loan debt. And it's hard for them to get a mortgage loan because who's going to loan them another $250,000 or more? So is there a plan in Los Alamos to get rental properties for people who might have that problem until they can get it fixed?
well, we certainly would rent to them if we had homes to rent.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think they're. I mean, I'll tell you guys can answer that question since you do property management on that. But you know, Los Alamos is talking about. You know, they're having a home financial help program. Do you know a lot about that, Patrick?
It's a home rehabilitation program for
Can I
homes.
get you to stand next to her?
Sorry.
She's got a clip mic.
Okay. Yeah, the county has a home rehab program for the tiered based on income levels where you can get assistance to help rehab your home. But the developments I spoke about earlier down behind the hospital and the one potentially then behind the Smiths are well suited for high density type of multifamily developments. I don't know what the proposals were, if they were for, that came into the county, if they were to build units that would be for sale or for rent. Typically in the higher density developments like that, they're rental units, but I don't know what those would be. But they're, you know, I think regardless of which ones they are, but especially with the rental units, you know, whether it's younger people who have student loan debt or it's people, young families that are coming in and are able to rent a place for a year or two before they can transition into a single family home. The demand is there. You heard Kathy Keith say that the county had done a study and assumed we need like 2,600 more housing units. I believe they also looked at the available developable land and figured that we could only add currently somewhere between 1,800 and 2,000. So if you're looking at it from a developer standpoint, you know, the question we get asked is, oh, well, when the lab slows down this hiring trend, will the demand go away? And I think the answer is no. You know, the demand will be there and it will be constant. And the reality is just because the laboratory is hiring a lot of people right now, when this kind of surge is over, they're still going to continue to hire people. They're still going to have people retire. As Teddy Sue said, the retirees are staying here. So the housing demand will persist. So for people who are in the development community, this is a good long-term market, I would say.
Patrick, isn't the estimate somewhere around 2,400 new employees over the next 5 years?
That's
correct.
correct.
They're about, my understanding is they're about a third to a half of the way through that. But yeah, that number seems to be a moving target a little bit, and it's tended every time it changes to be more people as opposed to less. So, you know, you also, if and when not if, but when the management contract changes, whether that is in October of 2018 or if it's extended again, you know, typically you'll see, as we saw back in 2006, kind of a surge of retirees there as, you know, they're transitioning from one contractor to another, different benefits packages, that type of thing, and you see kind of a little surge in retirees at that point. So that may be coming up as well.
Yeah.
We amazingly enough have younger people coming in just as a transition into Aspen Ridge Assisted Living.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's, you know, one way to do it, but the other thing is if the developer wanted to put in another assisted living up here, you know, they could look into, not that we want competition, but that would be
Yeah,
an option.
there has been interest in senior housing, all the way from independent senior living all the way through assisted living, memory care, that type of thing. That's another, I guess, hot area of the real estate market. What's needed here is, you know, we do have a lot of retirees here who are in larger homes that they perhaps no longer want to be in and maintain, but there's not suitable options for them to move out. And if there was, you know, it frees up those homes and kind of cascades down because people are able to move up in their home.
Beehive is moving dirt down in White Rock. They are digging foundation, and that's behind the Smiths in White Rock.
Right.
And I think that's 17 units.
I believe so.
I think you're right, yeah.
Well, you know, there's that, on Rodeo Road, there's that great big gigantic building that's going in, it is an assisted living, so, you know, if you find some
Right. No,
land sales.
there's been interest in that from the development community as well.
I had a conversation with Paul Andrus about bringing tiny homes to Los Alamos, and he felt that Los Alamos would not be receptive to them. He felt they don't match with the character of the community. What do you guys think?
We've actually had a few requests for people that wanted to pull some tiny homes into our mobile home park on North Mesa.
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
I think if it's done
That'd be
well,
kind of,
it
yeah,
could
that'd be
a very
cute.
Positive asset to our community, but it has to be a planned community.
Right.
It can't just be hit and miss.
They make some
Right.
of those
It'd be great.
really nice. Like
They do.
They're nice looking from the outside, so.
Yeah, I've thought at times there could be an opportunity there in the short-term rental market. Come in and, you know, if there was an area that had 10 to 20 tiny homes there, you know, the interns come in the summer, but there are the demand for short-term renters is here year-round.
Well, that area that after the first fire where FEMA-ville they called it, you know, still we have that empty area. There is is that a walking track or something over on North Mesa?
Right.
Something over there, that would be the tiny homes, that would be a planned development that you could do rentals for.
Sure.
I was thinking across from Royal Crest, right there by the lab. Really
Oh.
convenient for.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I don't
true.
know who owns that
I
property.
don't-
Bob, what do you think? You're a housing guru.
With the housing partnership, we're just trying to get people into, helping them get into the housing situation.
Right.
You know, so, you know, we do mechanisms to make things more affordable, but we're still in the crisis of building, you know.
I mean,
I don't-
tiny homes, you could.
Yeah, I'm not a planner, so I don't do that.
Has anybody done a market survey as to what the people actually want? If I was finishing graduate school and I had this huge student debt, and I live in a tiny apartment in Los Angeles, I don't want to move to New Mexico to live in a tiny apartment. New Mexico surrounded by other tiny apartments.
Tiny homes is a big movement with the millennials.
Yeah.
It is.
It is, because they'd rather be outside.
Right, I don't know if anyone has done a market study specifically on tiny homes. I would assume that developers who are looking to do something here, you know, are quite aware of what the market needs.
Question I have with tiny homes, it seems like a lot of those like their yards so they can grow their own stuff.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, do you still need the same amount of land for the unit? You know, that's the question.
Yeah, we don't have dirt here, so.
No.
You know, if you did a tiny homes with, that was done well and then they were rentals, you know.
Or a community garden.
Yeah, a community garden. But you have,
There's always ways.
So I have two comments. So one is, I know, Patrick, you mentioned that there is a demand for short-term rentals year-round, which I have found to be true, but I would be interested to see the trend over 12 months because I know there's a surge in the summer.
Sure.
And that creates an issue for property owners who rent, because then you're left with a lot of vacancies in August, September.
It's true.
It's true. So that's one need, I would say, for Los Alamos, is to think about the fact that there is this surge for 3-month rentals from June to August. The second comment is that I know the county did a survey of vacant homes. So probably those people that have paid off their homes, maybe they've moved, maybe they've passed, and the kids own the homes, and they're just sitting on the market. And do you know anything about that study, and could that be a source of additional housing for the?
Well, there are homes that are sitting vacant. They're not on the market, and they are estate homes or homes that the kids haven't, taken care of, or they've moved their parents to assisted living, and then their homes are sitting vacant. There are quite a few homes in Los Alamos like that. One of the things that the county council was talking about is one of the reasons why they wanted to raise the property tax is because it was so cheap for them just to hold those homes and then not do anything with them. So there was talk about that. I think it's still in, negotiations as far as trying to get those homes to move.
I don't know exactly what they'll do, but I know they did do a study, and they got some different numbers. They were looking at different methodologies of how you identify the vacant homes, whether it's utility records, postal records, and so there's kind of this moving target of how many are actually out there.
Last I heard was 160.
Somewhere in there.
It's quite
And
a
that
few.
came from one of the interns that worked on the project.
It's a lot of homes.
For those empty
Could you
homes.
go back to your very first slide?
This one?
So I guess my comment there is that graph was basically the same, even though that you've been pretty busy the last, since the beginning of 16 or middle of 16.
Yeah, this is when you really started it to start to
But if
change.
you go back further, again, it looks,
Not too different.
not too different. And part of that is this management attitude at the lab, where what I heard was, someone put the screws to them, you gotta keep, if you want this contract, you've gotta hire people and stop saving money. True or not, that doesn't make any difference, but the point being is, we still depend on this laboratory contract. And, when we started doing this, the scare was a long time ago was that to any developer or anybody that wanted to come in, the lab's gonna pull out. I'm not gonna put, sink a couple of billion into something here in town where it's gonna turn into a ghost town. And so hence, these properties that are here are still the main, housing area. I've heard this thing about, the lab to take on the housing, they did that, they tried that, they didn't like it, so it's not gonna happen. The internship thing is just a constant issue, it's nothing new. The lab didn't want to fuss with it because they're not, and this is back to when before this paid contractor had it, they don't care, basically. Rather they entice these young scientists or whomever to come here to work at Los Alamos. And so, I guess, I just think that the laboratory or our senators and representatives need to be aware of what's best for the scientific research area of the lab, which is lacking. And when they award this contract, hence then, some people will, take it on that, oh yeah, that's where I want to go, that's where I want to work.
Mm-hmm.
But, everything you're saying here is just, I guess, nothing that shocking to us, or at least to us, because, it cycles. So
Right.
That's just my.
Yeah. I mean, I've been here, since 2000 in real estate, and I mean, really, even in the housing, when the prices dropped, we still moved homes.
Right.
So, it's not only jobs, from the lab, life changes, you have marriages, divorces, babies born and, move-ins, move-outs, move-up buyers. So the real estate market in Los Alamos is always churning. So is it dependent on the lab? Yes, as far as that goes. But, I think the work is here, going to be here. And, I do think that we'll continue to hire because we do have aging, scientists and researchers and engineers. So, and I think we do want to attract and hold those young people because it is, it is an aging community here. So we want them to come and stay, but we're just in a crunch. So is it cyclic?
Pick some other point in that chart, you're in crunch.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. Well, that's why we need, I think even if we develop it and, we come into a normal state, then I think we'll still have good turnover and churn. But I don't, if you feel like there'll be lots of vacancies in homes, I just don't see that.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also agree with you that, if the lab were to leave, then one, I don't see that as a foreseeable option. How many people who currently work at the lab live on the hill? Is it 60%, 70%?
Well, it's probably about 70%. It's quite a bit.
And how many employees now at the lab?
There's about 30,000.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that could make a big hit.
Yeah.
But this is a great community, and I think it could still attract people, but in a different way. if that
Right.
were to happen.
Right.
I don't foresee that happening. I mean, there's movement to update the nuclear. The lab does a lot of other things.
Oh, yeah.
Medicine.
The research, the biosciences, the biology, they do some great stuff.
I think the only thing that would cause the lab to leave is if the people up here lost faith in the lab.
Right. Well, and Colorado is booming, and I have seen a lot of new Colorado people leaving actually and coming because it's similar, our climate's similar. You get the outdoor trails, the skiing, because Colorado's getting crowded. And so, I don't know how people feel about that, but.
Well, if you want to see a homeless problem, coming from the airport and coming to the city.
Yes,
and
it's
there's
terrible.
lined up there, and there's hundreds if not thousands.
Right. Yep.
I've been talking in support of the guy in the red shirt. I agree with pretty much everything he said, and I've been talking to people at DOE Central and in Congress, and they said, if you guys can't solve the housing crisis, we have to move $100 million to $300 million projects a year somewhere else. We got to get the projects done.
And I think that's the economic downside of not solving the housing problem.
I agree.
Is because you're right. If we can't, if everybody who's coming up to do a project keeps complaining they don't have any place to live, that kind of thing can't happen.
I agree.
I just wanted to make a point that might make everybody feel just a little bit better about the future, because I came here in the recession about 8 years ago from another market that was completely different while at the same time pretty similar, because I don't think there are that many things that change.
Right.
I've watched it since I've been out here, and Patrick knows, I think one of the things, even go back 3 or 4 years ago, and they were knocking on people's doors, developers, trying to talk them into, take a look at us. We think we've got this, demand. Developers were going, I'm going somewhere else. So whatever you say about the lab, whatever you say about anybody else, the people that do this for a living 3, 4, 5 years ago would look at Los Alamos, look at other markets, and go to other markets instead. What's changed, and it's changed fairly recently and suddenly, is those people now are saying, hey, what have you got?
Right.
They're coming to us.
That's
and
good.
that means that they see, the ones that do this for a living, see a fundamental change in the market here, and of course in their eyes, comparatively to the other markets they might be able to look at. It's exactly the same thing that happened where I came from, where we could see, of course, in the boom years, we had people knocking on our door to come in, and everybody wanted to be our partner. And as things started to slow down and money tightened up, we had some really big projects going that were awesome projects, except we had to face the fact that some of these people, again, that do this for a living, were asking us what we could do for them if they came. And so I think here what we're seeing right now should be pretty exciting. We can sit here all day long and each of us have our own opinions about what needs to happen in Los Alamos. The people that really count are the ones that have skin in the game, and they're looking and they're willing now to put money in this community. And that's happening, so I think that's something that ought to make us pretty optimistic right now.
I agree. I'm very excited about it.
To that is there seems to be more cohesiveness of people working together, the realtors with the county, other businesses with the chamber and the community development corp. There's a lot of activity right now, all pushing towards the same goal, and that's what David's saying. That's what I'm saying, and and we need to be successful.
I agree. You know, the old saying is it takes a village, and it does. And so, you know, if each one of us in the community will just put some skin in the game and, you know, really help this community get going, we could be awesome. Pardon?
You're obviously leaving out the county administration.
Well,
They don't care.
yeah. Well, we just need to all help and, you know.
They're sitting at the table. They're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I don't, it doesn't move nearly fast enough, but they're talking and they're releasing these properties. In the past, I think it's been very hard to get them released.
Right, I agree. So yeah, let's all just get in there and get going.
And speaking of getting going, we need to respect Teddy Sue's time because she's got to close.
I do.
And so we've got to wrap it up early this time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.